Hi Maggie, I hope all's going well in your world and that you and Marcel are doing well out there in Mexico, doing what you guys are doing best. Well, sweetheart, we're doing well here, doing the same old as everybody else, doing the whole COVID thing, which in itself has actually been a blessing for me at any rate, because it's given me time to regroup, given me time to think, it's given me downtime where I don't have to be in communication and or around anybody, um, and have a really good excuse as to not to, as to why I don't have to. But that being said, in truth and honesty, it's really given me time to regroup, to think, to um, get rid of, download some things that aren't necessary. Actually, and some people, truth be told, that aren't really relevant in my life anymore, that aren't serving me, and I'm not serving them in any way. So for me, it's been a good thing. For people who've lost their loved ones, I feel for them. But that being said, for me, COVID's been a good thing. Some downtime. But anyway, first and foremost, thank you so much for thinking of me in regard to you moving forward with your writing career. And so what I decided to do was I've got the actual questions right here. And so what I decided to do was to answer them in video format. I wasn't actually I wasn't sure if you were asking your first email as to whether or not you wanted to interview me. I wasn't 100% sure. And so with this, I wasn't 100% sure if you wanted me to write the answers or you wanted to literally interview me yourself. So what I decided to do was to do a video and send you the video so you'd be able to upload the link and you'd be able to see the answers. So I'm not sure if I'm all in sync here because it looks like my mouth's moving and it's like those old movies, like the old dubbed Chinese movies, like hey, it's that sort of thing. It's not cool. But anyway, so here goes. Question number 1: what made you want to help people through their life journey and struggles? Well, that question is two-pronged. The first was based on my own experience, and my own experience that surrounds my near-death experience. One of the things that was brought home from having a near-death experience is that I have a purpose and I know my purpose. And my purpose is literally to support people in the understanding that they do have choice. Whether or not they believe this, they do have choice. Whether or not they exercise this, they do have choice. And that their lives, our lives, my life, everybody's life is based upon the choices that they make. So based on that, and based on that, coupled with the fact that I have always tried to help people if they were struggling. My parents, it was a standing joke in the house, that all my friends had broken wings, as my father would describe it. And anybody who was suffering from any kind of malady, whether it was, a relationship thing, whether it was a health thing, I would always bring them home and try to nurse them. Well, that was a euphemism for I would always try to help them, which is true. I would always try to help them. It used to be a challenge for me to see people struggling. And one of the things that I had to learn as I have gone along, especially with the style of coaching that I do, that it's not my job to change you. It's not my job to fix you because I can't fix you. And for me, being a fixer, that was a huge relief. So anyway, in answer to your question, based on my near-death experience and my innate desire to support people who are struggling. I used to hate to see people struggling. So question number 2, what satisfaction do you gain from your work and encounters with people? The greatest satisfaction that I gain is when I see somebody get it. Now, I don't know what that it is, but I can see when the light has turned on. And through the intrinsic type of coaching that I do, the intrinsic type of dialogue that I have, I see when the light goes on, and that gives me an immense amount of pleasure and satisfaction. It's easy. It's really easy, Maggie, for people to tell you what to do. It's easy for people to tell you what to do. And they can tell you what to do based on their experience and looking at you and thinking how the two mesh. Let's see, Max. Oh, that's Richard for my husband. It's my husband's birthday. I'm going to just put this on pause. Right, sorry about that, sweetheart. Yes, it's really to tell people what to do. It's so easy to tell people what to do. And many people feel that that's the best way for them, is for people to tell them what to do. Well, it's not. Nobody knows you like you do. And so once again, in answer to that question, what satisfaction do I gain from my work and my encounters with people, is when people get it and they flourish. They turn around and they thrive. They actually take action based on the insight that they have gained from self. So that leads into the question, what's your intention with your work with people? Well, my intention with my work with people is that they realize that their life is built on choices and that they do have a choice. If somebody has a gun to their head and they're saying, you know, if you don't do X, Y, Z, I'm going to kill you, they have a choice. Dude, take your best shot. I'm not doing it. Or, yeah, I'm going to do it because I don't want to die. People have a choice. When I was talking weekly with the women at Shade Tree, and of course, you know, that's a battered women's shelter, a shelter for abused women, children, and pets, right? But where I'm from, we call it a battered women's shelter because at the end of the day, that is what it was. They weren't only displaced, they had been abused wrongly. One of my talks, especially if it was to a new group, one of my talks would be, I don't care what's happened to you. And you should see those women, they'd be like, you know, there were some people that get up and they'd walk out and, you know, all this sort of jazz. I don't care what's happened to you. What I do care about is what is going to happen to you. Everything that's happened to you in the past cannot be changed. Yes, it can be used to support you in moving forward if you choose to use it that way. But if you don't choose to use it that way, and even if you do, I don't really care what's happened to you. What I care about is what is going to happen to you. Because your life is ahead of you. It's not behind you. So my intention when I work with people is for them to see the power of their choice in that whatever they choose is going to manifest for their life. Whatever they choose today will manifest in their life for tomorrow. And this is what my intention is when I work with people, for them to be able to see that you need to make choices in the best interest of self, because, and by self, in the end, in the best interest of self, because this is what your life will turn out to be. Who has influenced you in your life and how so? Woo! That's the big one. Where do you start, Max? Okay, my mum and dad. First and foremost, my mum and dad. My parents have always been New Thought, metaphysical, whatever phrase you want to attach to it. My mother always made me realize that I can have and be what I want to be as long as I believe it, as long as I feel it. I can do all of that. My father taught me to question life. Why? Take for instance, like the coronavirus. Why is this coming out? Why is it being why is the information being disseminated the way that it is? My father always taught me to think. Dad said think. So my parents have been a huge influence on me and what I do. And of course there is I call them my surrogate or honorary uncles and aunties, and these are past metaphysicians, if you will, past new thought, new thought, new era, new thought, new age, whatever phrase you want to add, call it, Maggie, but I call it metaphysical. And they're metaphysicians, like Florence Scovel Shinn, a huge influence. Tuesday Lobson Ramper, a huge influence, in particular the book, The Saffron Robe. For Florence Scovel Shinn, die-hard book is The Game of Life and How to Play It. Influential on my life. Changing, life-altering and life-changing for me, in that it just, it actually validated for me in writing my near-death experience. Tuesday Lobson Ramper was way before that. But let's see, who else? Oh, Neville Goddard. I call him Uncle Nev. Neville Goddard. Dr. Joseph Murphy. Uncle Joe. Here's Uncle Joe, and he's moving kind of slow in the junction. Uncle Joe. Joel Goldstein. There are so many. But those that I have mentioned, in addition to Prentice Mulford. Prentice Mulford really, really teaches about thoughts becoming things. Thoughts becoming things. And all of these people have passed away many, 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 many years ago. Some in this century, and others not so much. So in answer to your question, synopsis, my parents have been the biggest influence on me. In addition to Florence Scovel Shinn, The Game of Life, Thoughts Become Things, Prentice Mulford, Dr. Joseph Murphy, anything that he's written, anything. The Conscious Mind, anything on the conscious mind. Neville Goddard as well, anything that he's written, absolutely anything that he's written on utilizing the power of your the power of the universal forces, the power of the universal laws. Again, Florence Scovel Shinn, just really powerful. Now, what I would say in addition to that is some of the experiences that I've had. Like, I was engaged, and that was before I was married, and that breakup was so traumatic for me. And at the time, you're going through it, and it's all this stuff, But it took me 3 years to understand that that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. There were a couple of jobs that I had gone for, and I didn't get them. And it wasn't until later that I was able to look back and say that the people who were in those positions and in my life at that time were very influential in where I find myself now. And so that's the other thing. recognizing when bad things have happened to me, what I deem as bad things have happened to me. After a period of time, sometimes it takes longer than others. After a period of time, those things have influenced me to be who I am today. So who has been a Wendy to you? Who has been a Wendy to me? I would say my youngest sister, my girlfriend who just passed June. She died the 5th of August 2020. She had cancer. My girlfriend June. Again, my late girlfriend Linda. Wow. Now, Linda was on point. Linda was from New Jersey, and she was no joke. She was a short Jewish chick or Jewish woman, and she had it going on. That was my ace. That was the person who would say to me, Wendy, are you thinking about this? Wendy, what do you really feel about this? When's is that really true? And then sometimes she'd just say to me, you're just a fucking idiot. Stop it. And that was Linda. Again, my younger sister. And who else? I would say my parents, but in a different way. Because, of course, they're mum and dad. And there's that factor that goes on. I've also learned through my coaching methodology to be a Wendy to Wendy. And that has helped immensely, which means that I go within rather than look for my answers without. I go within. Given that my two of my 3 aces have gone, this has become a necessity for me to go within. That's June Small, and of course Linda Gratman. She's gone. How did my life change after my near-death experience? Well, the biggest thing that I realized is that through the power of my spoken word and the belief that I have in my spoken word, and the belief is dictated by my feelings and by the desire and by the passion and compassion and all the emotions that you can fire something up with. By the belief that I have, my life will manifest that way. Bottom line. My near-death experience taught me that everything that I do in life is a choice. And that's an action that has a reaction that I have no control over. The only person that I have control over is me. I don't have control over none of that. Absolutely none of that. Only me. And when I say I have no control over none of that, I cannot control a reaction. I can't control a reaction. So the only person I can control is me. I also realized, oh, my questions. Hey, where's my questions? Where my questions? Where my questions at? Oh, Max, I've just lost my questions. All right, let's come out. That's what happens when you've got technology and you don't know how to use it. Have you... Okay, let me see, Maggie. That's meditation, influence. Okay, right, here we go. How did your life change after your near-death experience? Well, yeah, choices. I realized that choice is huge. All right, choice is huge. I realized that choices are like dots. And I may have said this to you before, that back in the day you had painting by numbers, and you connect the dots. That's what it's like. That's what I saw, and that's what it's like. The other thing that I had learned that was huge is casting blame on other people for how you are feeling, or for how your life is manifesting, your life is unfolding, and how you're living your life is futile. Casting the blame, it serves no purpose other than to hold you in bondage. Absolutely no purpose. That's like the proverbial me drinking poison and hoping you'll die. So there's absolutely no purpose in that. And that is, I would say, those are the biggest things that I actually learnt from my near-death experience. The other thing is that I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to die. Death is just another transition. Oh gosh, Mag, so many things. Thoughts become things. The importance of listening to yourself. The importance of listening to yourself and listening to your intuition. And listening and taking action, because most people hear their intuition and they don't take action. So it's the importance of listening and taking action, Mags. But the biggest thing is the blame game. No. Choices. Yes. Being able to control the reaction of the choice that you make. No. You can only hope. You can only believe. But that's like you may say something to somebody and you think that what you're saying is wonderful, but they don't. Action, reaction, or choices and consequences, and you don't always get to control the consequence. So hopefully that answered. Have you encountered racism abroad or living in the United States? If so, yeah. Yeah, Max. It's a fact of life, but it's not somewhere where I dwell. Racism is something that I believe is... it can undermine the fabric of any society. It can erode... the social structures. Racism, is it there? Yes. Why is it there? Many people say it's because people are afraid of other people. But my true belief is it's because people aren't happy within themselves. And again, alluding to what I was speaking to before, it's easy to pass the blame. It's easy to cast the blame on somebody else or somebody's else because of what they look like or because they don't look like you. And so it's easy. So for me, racism is about people not taking ownership for who they are, not taking responsibility for who they are, and not wanting to be accountable for the things that they have chosen to do in their life. It's not somewhere where I dwell, Max, because again, it has such a negative connotation to it. And it's not somewhere where I dwell. And have I experienced racism here? Yeah, I have. There are people who look at me and I can tell they don't like me simply because I'm black. And that's okay. And it truly is okay. That's your prerogative. My choice is not to get caught in your web. My choice isn't to be a consequence of your action or of your choice. I get to choose how I respond to that. And because of my spiritual foundational beliefs, if I focus on that, that is what is going to show up in my life. Now, with everything that happened last year, I'd say summerish, with Floyd George, Mr. George, Floyd George, being killed the way in which he did. This for me was tragic, but it did show how people think and feel about other people. It did show where the powers to be, if you will, like police, etc., that they need to have some check and balances within their ranks. The way that that policeman was standing with his foot on Mr. Floyd's neck, it looked like he was a hunter who had bagged a trophy on the Serengeti. And that's what came across to me. Bigger picture, there needs to be change, and that's change all round. There needs to be change all round in regard to how people feel about themselves. Again, I go back to that, and racism. Again, how people feel about themselves. So, So that's that on racism, Mags. It's not somewhere where I vibe. Is watching the news triggering with everything going on? Is watching the news triggering with... Oh, okay, get you. Is watching the news triggering with everything that's going on politically? I can safely say with my hand on my heart, Maggie, that I don't watch the news a lot. But in the last year, since COVID, I have watched so much news that, as Ziggy Marley says, if you believe what they're telling you on CNN, you are in too deep. And I realized I was in too deep because I was turning the news on to see what was going on. And I know that what they're actually putting out there isn't true. Well, for me, that's my take. So had the last year been triggering? Yes. I have to say, yes, it did. Politically, I was astounded at some of the things past President Trump was doing. I mean, astounded. And I would say, how do I phrase this and phrase it? He absolutely amazed me. And the psychologist in me just kept wanting to study him. Just kept wanting to study him. The one thing that I would say in regard to politics is this, and this is my belief, so I know it's going to unfold this way. Generally, the politicians at the higher level really don't give a fuck about us. Okay? They're all playing their game. The people who are trying to become, the ward of, Las Vegas or the mayor, even up to the senators, even your congressmen, people who need to really go out and rally and get your support. I say that they can have and are influential in what goes on. But outside of that, Mags, my thing is they appear to be playing a game that they haven't even asked me if I wanted to be a chess piece on. That being said, somewhere within me, I'm doing something that is creating this situation. So, is it triggering? What it triggers for me is to see the universal laws at work. Take, for instance, when I hear people, and I heard people, particularly last year, talk about Donald Trump and those who really hated him and those who really loved him and everything in between. What that did for me was I looked at Donald Trump, and that man is a master manifester. Now, just because you're a master manifester doesn't mean you're manifesting good, okay? What it means is that you know how to use the universal laws to get what you want, and that man is a master. So in regard to the political arena, in regard to the last year, because prior to that, I really didn't, it really doesn't have any bearing. What I got from this is that you can manifest what you want, how you want it, when you want it. So hopefully that answered the question. Next question, how does your work influence and affect your life? Well, Mags, as a metaphysician, I really do try to live my life metaphysically. Emotions are there and they get in the way, but emotions do exactly what they're meant to do. They emote, they're flags, they tell you stuff, they tell you what's going on. My job is to make an interpretation of that and then funnel that into choices. So my work influences my life, it really does. Now, with working with clients and some of the things that I have come across in my career, do those affect me? No, not anymore. When I first started doing what I was doing, yes. Spiritual counseling, the whole 9 yards, yes. Because I was in the role of trying to fix it. But once, and this was about 10 years ago, I was looking for my certificates, they're actually all behind me. But once I had done the intrinsic coaching course, it freed me because I no longer tried to fix people. I was detached but present. I was detached but present. And being detached and present literally meant that I was present and showing up for you, but making the choice for whatever was going on in my client's life not to spill over into my life. So I didn't do things like, I can't remember the technical, trans something or another. I didn't bring it home. I didn't practice transference. I didn't let, if somebody had a really bad day or somebody torched their home, which, yeah, torched their home for insurance. I didn't let that have me saying, wow, life really sucks. And then trying to find things that have gone on in my life to match to theirs, which is what people do. People will say, oh, I had a really bad day. Oh, girl, no, my day was really bad. Let me tell you what happened to me. That sort of thing. Or, oh my God, when I was 16, XYZ happened to you. Girl, that happened to you. Guess what happened to me? Da, 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 da. And that's something that people do. And that's transference. That's transference. And that's something, again, that with my coaching style, along with my metaphysical beliefs, it doesn't happen. Now, my work does affect me in the way that it pushes me to do more, or I allow it to push me to do more. I allow it to inspire me. I allow it to inspire me. What have you gained by using aromatherapy stones and essential oils? Aromatherapy, my babies, aromatherapy, the power of smell, the olfactory system, absolutely amazing. Aromatherapy enforced, taught, affirmed, reaffirmed my belief that nature can truly, truly, truly provide you methods of finding balance and or healing, if you will. So finding balance or healing without using psychotropics, without using harsh chemicals, without using things that actually have side effects that are worse than what you're experiencing. Utilizing crystals. Utilizing crystals has shown me that there is power to be found in everything, especially if you believe it. There's power to be found in everything, and that everything has a purpose, and everything has a power that it can share with you as you move through life. Look, Mags, we all come here with the same playing field. We're all on the same playing field. And what that means is we all need air to breathe, to live. We all need to eat to live. Okay? And those are fundamental facts. That's the same level playing field. I don't care whether you are at the height of Kilimanjaro or whether you are wherever the lowest point on the earth is in regard to sea level. Okay? It doesn't matter. You still need air to breathe and food to eat to sustain your life. You still have 1,441 minutes in a day for you to make choices. So where I'm going with this is, Mags, we have been given all the tools that we need so that we can live the life that we want to live. Crystals, stones, precious gems, essential oils, and essential oils. Aromatherapy is the actual use of essential oils. Essential oils are the vital life force that is so willingly given up by plants so that we can use it to support us in balancing our energy. What field is your doctorate in? Okay, I've got one in coaching and the other is in metaphysical science. Okay, now the metaphysical science, and I suppose if you will, the coaching, is really transpersonal psychology. It truly is a branch of transpersonal psychology, which really deals with manifesting. It deals with what do you call this thing? It deals with people who are interested in ghosts and all that sort of jazz. It's the other side of psychology. It's a different type of psychology, but it's how the mind works. It's about the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, or the subconscious mind, and how that works. So again, one is in coaching, and that's life coaching, and the other is in metaphysical science. Yeah. How has meditation changed your life? Ooh, how long do you have? Meditation has changed my life in a way that it has allowed me to be able to tap into my inner resources. It's allowed me to be able to find my quiet time. It's allowed me to be able to change my internal dialogue. So it's not a negative dialogue which results in a negative life. It's allowed me to be able to heal myself, and I mean literally heal myself. It's allowed me to be able to hear myself. It's allowed me to be able to make a decision about a choice that I want to make. It's allowed me to fire my intuition so that my intuition is always talking to me in a way that is acceptable to me. Meditation has allowed me to be me. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools that anybody can use. Most people don't meditate, and they'll say to me, I don't know how. Meditation isn't about sitting down and all that jazz. That is a ritualistic practice. Meditation is about becoming quiet and going within. You're never ever silent. Your mind never ever turns off. But it's about being quiet and going within. And then having a dialogue with yourself, about what it is that you are wanting. Meditation is an integral part of my life. I know I told you this before. Well, I've been meditating since I've been about 6, 7, 8. I would say actually more along the 7-ish border. And I did that because I suffered from hay fever. And the actual what they give you to take care of hay fever hasn't changed. And I say what doctors prescribe for hay fever hasn't changed. And I was taking some sort of, I don't know, steroid or what have you. And I was falling asleep in class. And of course, it was a big deal. You know, the teachers, oh, she's going to sleep. Well, God bless my parents. Instead of my ass getting our beat down because I was sleeping in class, my parents realized it was the nasal spray that I was being given. So what they decided to do was teach me breathing exercises and meditation to control it. Did it control it? Yes, it did. But, you know, Mags, I'm like 8 years old. Like really? You mean I have to stand outside every morning and do this shit? Like, really? So I did it, and I did realize the benefit, even as a child. And so I actually did it. And what happened? What happened was, you know, it was sporadic. And then I used to have really, really, really bad menstrual cramps. And I remember the doctor putting me on actually what I now know to be a narcotic. And it did make me feel good taking the narcotic. And I decided to use meditation to control the pain level. And it worked. I'm a diehard meditator. It's my touchstone for everything. You know, Mags, my father, as you know, Pops passed. May the 10th will make 2 years. So I don't know, it's about just over a year and a half. And they actually couldn't find the source. He had cancer, according to them, and they couldn't actually find where it originated from, because they said that, you know, it was in his shoulder, it was in his spine, it was in his hips. And all they kept saying to him was, Mr. Lashley, do you need any pain meds? And my dad was like, no. He said, I've got discomfort, but not where I need to even take anything. You know, and they were so thin that it was like, okay, Dad, if you need anything, just take some. In the UK, it's paracetamol. Here, the equivalent is Tylenol. So you know, just take some Tylenol. And occasionally he would take some Tylenol. But what my father used to control his discomfort was meditation. Pops was a diehard meditator. Diehard, as my mum. Although Mumsy, she was, I'd say Mumsy was a little more wishy-washy with it. But Dad was a diehard meditator. From the time I can remember my father, and I'm 61 years old, my dad always meditated. And this is what he used to control whatever pain he was experiencing. So hopefully that answered that question. What did I learn working at the women's shelter? And how did you change their lives? Well, one of the things that I learnt working at the women's shelter, or going to talk with the women at Shade Tree, is that thoughts become things. The other thing is that most of the women there thought that in some shape or form they'd be able to change the man that they were with. I learned that people, women, I'll say, in the shelter, felt powerless to make the choices that they needed to make in their life to keep themselves and their children safe. I learned that most people allow fear to rule their lives. And it's the fear of what if. And you can't live your life based on what if, because the what if might not happen. I learned that many people don't think well of themselves. Many people, they don't think well of themselves. They think that they're a nothing and a nobody, and that they should be treated that way. I want to say the biggest thing that I learned in Shade Tree is that the women lacked self-love. They lacked self-love. And this is true of most people. And the one thing I'm telling you, Maggie girl, Miss Maureen Wendy Elizabeth Lashley Dearborne, I love me some me, baby. That near-death experience taught me that. My near-death experience, might I add, like I'm speaking about these women, was based on the fact that I didn't have self-love. The self-worth wasn't there. There was no worth attached to self. And it's true of the women in Shade Tree. And how did I change their lives? I let them know that they were worth something. I let them know that love is free to give to self. And how did I do that? Well, Mags, you've been on the end of this. What are you wanting for your life in this moment? Not what you think your parents want you to have. Not what you think your husband or your man wants you to have. Your sisters, your best friend, even Jesus Christ, God, Buddha, Muhammad, Allah, whomever. What do you want for you in this moment? And it kicks off from there. And then you know, Mags, what does it look like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? What does it sound like? Paint me a picture. I want to see a mural. Paint it for me. Because when you can paint it for me, that means you've painted it for yourself. And this is what I did. And did I change lives? God knows I did. Sometimes I would ask. I would be, I don't know, driving to work or what have you, or I'd be shopping and I'd say, you know, God, am I really doing what I think I'm doing? And I'm in one of the Asian grocery stores that I go into, and I hear Dr. D. And I look up. I'm like, oh, hey, baby. I said, how are you doing? And she said, I'm fine. And then she said, automatically, she said, most people don't know my history. I said, I'm not about to talk about your history like that, honey. And I said, and you know me, your history is not your destiny. Unless you choose it to be. Choices are your destiny. And she's on the register, right? She's ringing people out. That girl closed her register. She came round, she came round the checkout, and she hugged me for all she was worth. And all she said was, thank you. You changed my life. I was in Albertsons around the corner from my house, and I heard I heard, oh, go, oh, no, I heard, what am I wanting? And I heard that, and I know they were talking to me. And I looked up, and again, hey, baby, what you doing? Oh, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, Dr. D. I'm doing it. I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to let anybody treat me that way because I love me. I'm now, and they're doing their thing. I'm in Costco's, and I hear, actually it was, it was Costco's actually. And I hear, bam. And I heard the person, but I didn't actually relate it to me. And I heard, bam. And I turned around and I looked at this person and she said, believe and manifest, the acronym for BAM, believe and manifest. I've received letters and cards and of people who have told me that I have literally changed their life. I did this ceremony, Mags, with the women at Shade Tree. I did this ceremony and it was a wedding ceremony. And I did the whole thing. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join in holy matrimony. Maureen Wendy Elizabeth Lashley Dearborne to Maureen Wendy Elizabeth Lashley Dearborne. Maureen Wendy Elizabeth Lashley Dearborne, do you take Maureen Wendy Elizabeth Lashley Dearborne to be your dearly and your beloved from this day forward? And I did the whole thing. I had wedding cakes, cupcakes, wedding cupcakes. I had the apple juice. I had, for the champagne, the sparkling apple juice. I had the candles, the unity candles. I had the wedding march. I had the whole thing. And I married them women. And several of them came up to me and they said, I didn't know what it was to love myself until today. Mags, the things that I saw, the things that I saw as a result of the women getting it told me that I am walking and talking and living my purpose. So yeah, I've seen the changes, and for people coming through the office too, I've seen the changes for people coming through my office, not just at Shade Tree, but in regard to the question that you asked. Let's see. In regard to the question that you asked, how did you change their lives so that they could live their life? So they could live the life that they were wanting. What other places have I volunteered at? Oh, I did. I volunteered at kindergarten. Girl, them kids were something else. I had started my degree program was in child development, and I was like, I don't think so. What children taught me when I was doing that was the spontaneity, to be spontaneous, and also to look through the eyes of a child, or to have, and I don't mean like childlike, because that's actually not a good thing to enforce as an affirmation, but to look at things always as new, to see them as new, like wow. There's always a wow factor. Even when you look at a rose, your rose bush, every day, you look at it, there's always a wow factor. And the wow factor is, oh my God, it's alive, it's thriving, it's growing. It's a wow factor. Let's see. Yeah. Outside of that, I'm going to say no. There have been many other things that I've done, Mags, but, I think the most notable has been the shelter, and of course when I was volunteering with the kids. I've already addressed how my parents influenced my life. Once again, mum and dad. Mum told me I can be and do anything that I want to do. I just have to believe it. And dad taught me always to ask the question why. Although it's really ironic, in my coaching practice, I don't ask the question why. However, why can be a really powerful medium. Dad taught me to think with that question. He taught me to think things through. Not just because something's being presented to you means that it's so. Again, mum said you need to believe. So you need to know what you want so you can believe it, so you can have it. My parents, incidentally, they arrived in the UK. They're from the West Indies, and they arrived in the United Kingdom, or Great Britain as it was called, with dad had $24 and mum had 12. No, dad had £12 and mum had 12. What's that, 36 if I haven't missed my guess, which might be the equivalent of now about $50. Yeah. And from that, my parents truly, through work, and my mother, very entrepreneurial was mum, through work, my parents literally, in their heyday, they were millionaires. Okay. From $50. Yeah. And that's something that I learned from my parents. Be wise. I have a video on YouTube, and it's one of those what dad said, and it's about paying it forward. It's about paying it forward. This is the other thing that my parents taught me. If you can help, but never help at the expense of yourself and your family. Helping people isn't about sacrifice. It's about support. And that's what they taught me. How has having roots in Jamaica, London, Holland, Vegas broaden your horizon of people and the world? Well, the one thing that it's taught me is that the world is a lot smaller than we're led to believe, and that people are people, Mags. People are people. It doesn't matter who they are, what they are, where they're from. We all suffer from the same human conditions, and those human conditions are always around. What do you call this thing? Relationships. They're always around relationships. Black, white, Indian, Muslim, Sikh, Hindu. Let's see. Buddhist, Christian, Baptist, Southern Baptist, Pentecostal, Seventh-day Adventist, Jewish, Hasidic Jews. It doesn't matter. Muslim, Shiite, it doesn't matter. The human condition is the same. People want the best for their children. I don't care where they are or what their situation is. They want the best for their children. They want to see grandchildren. They want them to be happy. People themselves want to be happy. But for the most part, it's a struggle because people have not been taught to choose. Oh gosh, Mags, I want to say maybe 8 years ago. I don't know. 8 years ago, I did a radio show or a podcast with my nephews. I can't even remember what the podcast was called. But they were young. They were in their very early teens. In their very early 20s. Very early 20s. And they said that one of the things, well, David had said in particular, was that you go to school and they teach you your ABCs and, you know, fractions and all the stuff that they tell you you're going to need. But what they don't teach you is how to make a choice. They don't teach you how to balance your bank book. They don't tell you how to truly make money. They don't tell you how to be happy. They don't tell you how to pursue your dreams. They tell you what you must do. So in answer to your question, how has having roots in Jamaica, Holland, it has taught me to understand that people are people no matter where they go, where you go. People all want to be loved. People all want to be respected. People all want to be able to express themselves in the way in which they want to. People want to be happy. It's also taught me about food. And you know, I love me some food. The food's very different. What I have learned is, take for instance, the food from Louisiana and the food from the West Indies, particularly Jamaica, they're very similar. When I first married D, I would cook stuff and he was like, hey, how do you know to cook that? I said, well, I'm a Jamaican. How you think I know how to cook that? Right? I'm a Jamaican, right? Or I'm a British born Jamaican. But it's stuff like that, you know, like food from Ghana. While there's a twist on it, many of the ingredients and how it's prepared is the same. So food from some of the African states are very similar to food from the West Indian states. But outside of that, it's taught me about food as well, and given me an appreciation for food worldwide. The message, wisdom you would like to impart to the world. Your life is built and based upon the choices that you make. You can only make one choice at a time, irrespective of what you feel or what's going on in your head. You can only make one choice at a time. Choose wisely. Take the time to have an internal conversation with yourself about what it is that you are truly wanting for you. Then make the choices necessary for that to happen. Choices aren't always going to be popular with your family, with your friends, with people that you know, even yourself. And more often than not with yourself. But they are choices that need to be made so that you can live the life that you want to live. You are worth every choice that you make. Don't blame people. Don't blame people for where you are in your life. Blame yourself. One of the things, Mags, that I would also say is that people need to learn the art of surrender. And the universal law of surrender, in a nutshell, is literally this. You let go. It's not throwing the towel in. It's not letting go and blaming somebody else. It's just letting go. You see, only one thing can fill any space at one time. So in order for you to have what you want in life, you need to free up some real estate. You have to free up some universal real estate so the manifestation can come forth. So in answer to your question, what I would say to people is this. Your life is about you and your choices. Your life is built one choice at a time. Everything that you have experienced, everything that you will experience is a result of the choices that you make, whether you feel that you've made them under duress and or not. When you look in the mirror, you are the choice that you see. Do you like what you see? And if it's no, then make the choices to change it. If you like what you see, then my question to you is, what's coming next for you, and what does that look like? What are you wanting it to look like? So I hope that's been helpful to you, Maggie. I am going to upload this to YouTube in an unlisted thing. So I'll give you the link, an unlisted thing, in an unlisted link. So I will give you the link so that you can view this. Thank you so much for thinking of me. And let me just make sure. I have everything. Right, past info, nutrition author, host, choice expert, and clarity coach. Dr. Winnie does that. Yeah, all that's good. Yep. Yep. Yeah, all that's good. All that's good, sweetheart. And actually, let me just say this. Food goes way beyond nutrition, Mags. It goes way beyond that. We've been taught about all the different vitamins and minerals and all of this. Food goes beyond nutrition. Everything that we eat, everything that we drink, everything that we consume, in order to keep body, as we call it, or we feel, body and soul together, has a far-reaching effect. The effect is far-reaching. The color of food is attuned to the colors of the chakras. So the color of food has an energetic vibration that will support you internally, the inner you, and will support your body in maintaining balance. Food has the ability to help you think clearly. And I'm not just talking about not eating sugar and stuff like that, or carbs. The other thing is that we have, the other thing, Mags, oh, did I put, oh, okay, I am still rolling, I thought, because I went to go and get my journal. The other thing is, Mags, in regard to food, and this is real quick because I know this is long. Food has been demonized. We've demonized food. Never mind the growing and the planting and all of that jazz, GMO, the whole 9 yards, right? But we have been taught that food controls us, and that's not true. We control food. Food is not created for control over us for when our world is spinning out of control. Food isn't your friend. Food isn't designed as a comfort or something that's a consolation. Food's not it's not designed for that. But yet still, we've put it into that category. We've put it into that category. If you don't have a good relationship with yourself, you're not going to have a good relationship with food. And if you are using food as a way to make your environment feel better, or make you feel better internally about what's going on externally, then it's not going to work. If your relationships are codependent, seriously codependent, food's not going to be an asset to you. Yeah, will it keep body and soul together? Yes, it will. Food is about experiencing God in a different and energetic form. All right. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because this is the tangent. This is I say the tangent. This is something that I'm also really passionate about and have known for a long time. But anyway, Mags, this video has gone on, and I see, for an hour and 9 minutes. But I figured I'd do it this way so that you would be able to literally be able to go back, listen, pick out what you need, etc., etc. Good luck on your competition. Marcel, kiss Maggie. Maggie, kiss Marcel. Be good to each other. We are so not we are so not guaranteed the next inhalation of breath. So make this inhalation, make this moment count for all that it's worth. But anyway, darlings, love you. Peace. And Maggie, thanks for thinking of me. If you need anything else, let me know. Bye, babies.